G'day, we're David and Paula. Like many people, we've been working hard for many years and we're too young to retire, but we've decided to take a gap year from work. We've bought a new van and we're doing a lap right around Australia. Interesting just to come and have a look at the old Eucla Telegraph Station.
Welcome to WA.
This episode we complete the journey across the Nullarbor plain and we start to explore Western Australia. This is just absolutely insane. There's Paula. G'day, good morning. We're just going to start this video with something just a little bit different. First of all, thanks to everybody for watching our episodes. We're now sending some money off to charity, so that's good. And we really appreciate the feedback, we appreciate the comments. We do appreciate the people who are sort of making some suggestions. Whilst we're not intending and we're not going to be professional content creators and we don't want to be influencers, we certainly do want to make the videos as reasonably as we can. We are trying to fix the sound quality. We know that the last episode we were having difficulties, and I've just got to say on that, some places we're at are just windy, and we have got some sound muffs on our mics. We don't want to be paying for even more expensive equipment than we've already got. I'm trying something a little bit differently today, so I'm hoping that actually helps. Yeah, but we do want to try and fix that, so we'll keep trying different things to improve on all that for everybody. And thanks for the people who sort of helped to defend us on that. Yes, it is true that we're not professional content creators, but we don't mind constructive feedback. So that's the first thing. So thanks for that. The second thing is we've had a few people who've pointed out that they don't necessarily know the geography of all of Australia or some of the places that we're at. And thanks to John from the Isle of Man, that reminds us that we've got some followers from overseas as well, and they don't necessarily know the finer points of the Australian geography. And I dare say that there's a few people in Australia who would struggle to place some of the locations that we're at. So we'll start this episode with a bit of an overview of where we've been, what we did, and just a bit of a catch-up before we get into the main part of the episode to help those people who are trying to sort of keep in context some of our locations. So, as you'll recall, when we first picked up our van, which is over a year ago now, which is amazing, we decided at that stage the lap was still a little bit off and we were doing some shakeouts with the van. The episodes 1 to 11 are doing the shakeout, so picking up the van, Sunshine Coast, and as you know we did a long trip out to Western Queensland and then to Fraser Island. And then during that period our life changed a little bit and we decided to bring forward our plans for the big lap. And we've got into the Big Lap Gap Year series, as you know, and that's episodes 12 onwards. And just to keep in perspective, that's down the east coast. We stopped in at Gloucester on the northern part of New South Wales, down into Victoria at Eucla, paddle steamer, down to the Great Australian Road before getting to the Spirit of Tasmania, where we headed across to Tasmania for a few episodes, then back to the mainland, up across to South Australia, the Barossa Valley and the Flinders Ranges. And then, of course, in the Flinders Ranges down to the Nullarbor Plain, which is where our last episode was, and that brings us up to this next episode. So hopefully that gives you a bit of context to those episodes, and maybe it'll remind you, if you haven't seen them, to go back and have a look at some of those episodes. If you like some of the episodes, go back and have another look again. We might as well raise some more money for charity. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share. That now brings us to the next episode where we complete the trip across the Nullarbor Plain. So we've still got a bit of a journey to do that. We actually head into Western Australia, so we cross the border and we start to explore Western Australia. So once again, Paula and I thank you for following. We've been enjoying sharing and hope you enjoy the next episode.
Yes, thank you, and we really appreciate the support.
of those sections of road that are widened and straight so that the Royal Flying Doctor Service could get in and land their planes. It's one of the reasons why, if you like and subscribe, particularly if you subscribe, please subscribe. If we make any advertising revenue, 100% of it's going to go to charity. And one of the two charities is the Royal Flying Doctor Service, because we are spending this time in remote and regional Australia, so it's a good one to support. And the other one is Legacy. Okay, so we're at the quarantine station. Just turn it down.
Sorry. Welcome to WA. Please open your car boot, caravan, etc.
It's got wine and beer, but I can open it up. Sorry, you lift that up.
Yeah, that's okay. We passed.
When she pulled out that white rubber glove, I got a little bit worried. No, they're good. They're really good. They looked at the in the back of the car, in the car fridge. That was just bottles of cancer, so they were fine with that. Yes, they wanted to look in the fridge and those sort of things, but the cupboards, they sort of checked in our bin bags. They checked. We had like a little bag of recycling underneath. She checked in there. She asked me to open all the top cupboards and under the bed.
Wow,
and
that's very thorough.
And then she just sort of said, "Oh, look, it's." She said, "Oh, you're obviously prepared for a long trip," which of course we are.
Yeah.
And Paula can breathe a sigh of relief now, because even though she's got absolutely nothing to declare, nothing, she still gets worried about all that sort of stuff. So, anyway.
I see Border Force, I know.
Yeah, Paula watches all those programs on it, so she's just sort of worried that she's going to get in trouble. Anyway. So apart from the graffiti, which is such a shame, interesting just to come and have a look at the old Eucla Telegraph Station. It's just a reminder of what actually happened in the days of the colonies and the early Federation for people to communicate. But the other thing that it reminds you is just that ultimately nature takes over. You can see the dunes starting to move all the way through, almost to the top of the lintels of the fireplaces. Nature wins. It is blowing an absolute westerly gale today. We've been thinking about staying somewhere near here as a free camp overnight, but I'm not sure whether we will or won't. So there were two telegraph stations, one replaced the other. We've always said that we won't read signs to you. These are points of interest, we certainly don't want to be sort of getting into the technical detail of each of these historic points. So look it up on the web. The Eucla Old Telegraph Station, but it was occupied as a family home until the 1960s, after it was no longer the West Australian Postmaster General's sort of property and residence. And that family apparently owned the town of Eucla, so they bought the town of Eucla sort of just after the Second World War. Gee, it would have been a lonely and isolated place, but obviously Eucla was a stopover on the Nullarbor plain pretty much since the Nullarbor plain had a road. So anyway, it just goes to show sort of what a tough, harsh and isolated history we had. just how vital these places were for communications across the continent and internationally. Well, it's fresh. So it's really soft sand. Part of me is sort of saying I can find some spots to hunker up here out of the westerly winds for today. Tomorrow's not going to be too bad. Another part of me saying pretty soft. Oh well, let's see how I feel at the end of the kilometre or so walk back. Oh, so we had brekkie at Eucla.
We did.
And we're dealing with 50 and 60 kilometre an hour wind gusts, sort of like 40 kilometre an hour headwinds along the highway. So we went down to have a look at the old Eucla Telegraph Station, and it was actually quite interesting history. You know, it just reminds me of just, anyway, I've sort of said it on the video, but it just reminds me of just how isolated things were sort of in those late 1800s, early 1900s. Went for a walk, found the jetty. That was actually quite pretty, although everything's just completely blown away with these sort of westerly type winds. There's a free camp here, and we went to have a look to see if we could sort of find somewhere just to bunker up for today and tonight. And it was just blown out and dust everywhere. So there was nothing that sort of commended it. We probably could have got into the dunes closer to the jetty. We would have to have gone across sort of some soft sand, and I think that was doable. We just would have had to air down, but as it worked out, Paula and I sort of walked to the jetty separately, and we were sort of following each other around the loops in the bush. So we've actually sort of seen the jetty. It was very blowy. It wasn't as if you could sort of go for a swim and enjoy it or anything like that. So we'd be airing down just to bunker up for the night. So we're going to head back to the highway. We're going to chance the westerly winds, which are going to be headwinds. So I'll watch the fuel economy going down. And there's a few free camps on the highway west of here, 40, 50 kilometres. So we'll check those out and see if we can find some shelter there. Then just keep pressing along the highway on the Nullarbor plain, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, that's the beauty of free camping. So that was the Kapuna Roadhouse. As I say, pretty average coffee. Food was okay, you know, it was their typical roadhouse fare. We had to stop for fuel anyway, so we sort of filled up. The price was okay in Nullarbor terms, not the best but not the worst. It's notable because it's at the eastern end of the longest straight stretch. There's the 90-mile stretch. So we're going to head down the 90-mile stretch. We'll head towards Balladonia, and we'll think of somewhere to stop. We'll look for somewhere to stop after Balladonia. Range. We're not too far from Norseman. Norseman gold mining since 1890. So we're coming into Norseman. So this is effectively the end of the Nullarbor plain drive. we got into Esperance and it's school holidays, and we couldn't get into Lucky Bay or any of those sorts of places. They were just like booked out months and months and months and months ago. But as it works out, that's fine, because as we've got in information place, and she was nice enough. Yeah, she was good.
Oh, good. There's a big front coming, and if we wanted to do the drive, it might be advisable to do it this afternoon after we set up.
Yeah, so all we've done is just like set up quickly, just got ourselves in at the overflow camp. I mean, we thought, oh well, we better go and have a look at the scenic drive before the weather closes in. We've got heaps of admin to do anyway, so if the weather closes in, we'll just do all that. So I don't feel so bad about not being able to camp at Lucky Bay now. Like seriously, 50 and 60 km/h winds by the look of it. So anyway, so we've come up to the lookout and we're going to do the scenic drive. We'll show you some of that sort of footage, yeah, it is actually very pretty. Has that really sort of nice aqua
colour.
Yeah, colour to it, doesn't it? So something's wrong.
You're colourblind, you know.
I must be colourblind, because this is Pink Lake and it's not pink. And they even signposted Pink Lake.
Yep. And then they tell you
and then
why
they put there's a sign why it's not pink. So my question is, why is Pink Lake that's not pink called Pink Lake?
Not a bad setup.
That's a very good setup, isn't it?
Yeah, this seat is really warm.
Tim was probably absorbed some sun, yeah.
Yeah, nice, nice weather.
Sorry?
It would be very nice with nice weather.
Oh, it'd be beautiful. You can see why people have booked out so far in advance. So if we couldn't stay at Lucky Bay campground, we thought we'd at least come out and visit it. We're almost hoping that because the weather was so bad that we'd come out and go, oh, just as well we didn't come out here, but unfortunately, we've come out and it's a great place. Weather's not great, but gee, it's a beautiful campground and well kept facilities. There's a day use area, so we stopped, sort of had a bit of a mini picnic, Paula made up some sambos, and I made up a cuppa, and we went look around the beach, stuck our head into the campground, but it is full, and it wasn't full, there were a number of empty campsites now, whether people are changing over or some people have cancelled, who knows, but by and large it was full. So yeah, I don't want to be bothering people too much. But it was, it's a beautiful location, and the Park Service obviously have invested in the campground, and you can see why it's so popular. Be great for several days stay. But anyway, we enjoyed the drive out and our little sort of picnic lunch. We've had chores to do at Esperance, so we'll head back, finish off some of that. Because we're out of here tomorrow, heading towards Albany. Anyway, it was worth the drive out.
This is the Esperance overflow. We've been here a couple of nights. School holidays, so it's been quite busy. Has facilities, toilets, showers, little camp kitchen. Basic, but it's good because it's school holidays and at least somewhere you can stay that's safe and secure.
Morning. We've had another good night's sleep in another free camp.
Very nice, well kept.
Next episode we head to Albany and explore the southwestern region of Western Australia. The water's coasty. You climbed almost as far as I did.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, shh. Again, thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, 100% of our YouTube advertising revenue goes to charity.